You're standing under harsh fluorescent lights, the kind that make every airport feel the same no matter where you are. The line inches forward, wheels scrape against tile. Your carry-on feels heavier than it did at home. Then a hand goes up. "Sir, one moment." You hesitate, just for half a second, as you reach for your passport. And that's when the attention sharpens, not because you did anything wrong, but because you paused. What most passengers never realize is this. Airports aren't just enforcing rules anymore. They're watching for reactions. And some of the most expensive mistakes happen before you even know a rule exists. So, what exactly are airlines and airports quietly using against you, especially in 2025? Airports didn't suddenly become stricter because passengers got worse. They changed because the system did. Over the last few years, airlines have been squeezed from every direction. Higher fuel costs, tighter schedules, fewer staff, and record numbers of travelers carrying more items into the cabin than ever before. Something had to give. So airlines and airport authorities quietly redesigned the process. Not to punish you, but to filter you. Faster passengers move through unnoticed. Slower, uncertain passengers trigger checks, fees, or delays. That's why two people can walk through the same checkpoint with similar bags, yet only one gets stopped. One looks prepared, the other hesitates. You've probably seen it happen. A traveler answers a simple question with a long explanation. Another smiles nervously while digging through documents. Suddenly, they're pulled aside. Not because of what they said, but how they said it. The same logic applies to carry-on bags. A suitcase that looks fine at home suddenly flashes red on a screen at the gate. 1 inch too wide, 1 kilogram too heavy. And now the rules change, instantly, right in front of you. This isn't random, it's designed. When an airport officer or immigration agent asks you a question, it often sounds harmless. How long will you stay? Where are you coming from? Most passengers think the answer is what matters. It isn't. What they're really watching is the space between your movements. The half-second pause before you hand over your passport. The way your eyes drift upward while you think. The unnecessary details that spill out when a simple answer would have been enough. You say, "Well, I was planning to stay about 10 days, but maybe longer if my cousin..." That's when the tone shifts. Not because 10 days is suspicious, but because your answer no longer matches the profile already on their screen. They already know your return date. They already know your booking history. The question isn't for information. It's for confirmation. A short answer like 10 days, vacation, passes unnoticed. A long explanation creates friction. At airports in 2025, hesitation is no longer neutral. It's a signal. For years, passengers learned a simple trick. If your carry-on looks small enough, it usually gets through. In 2025, that assumption quietly expired. Airlines now measure carry-on bags differently and far more precisely. The standard size, 22 by 14 by 9 inches, now includes wheels and handles, not just the fabric shell. That alone disqualifies a shocking number of older suitcases. At many airports, your bag isn't judged by a person anymore. It's scanned. Sensors detect dimensions automatically, and if your bag exceeds the limit, even by a single inch, the screen flashes red. There's no debate, no flexibility. That's when the rule changes mid-journey. Your carry-on becomes a checked bag. The fee appears instantly. $35, $50, sometimes more than $100 depending on the route and timing. Weight limits tightened too. 8 to 10 kilograms is now strictly enforced on many flights. Electronics must power on. Smart bags must have removable batteries. Power banks over 100 watt-hours require approval, or they're confiscated. Most passengers don't realize they're breaking these rules until it's too late, and by then, the system has already decided. Here's the part most passengers never hear out loud. Some airport fees don't exist until you activate them. At the gate, you might see a metal frame labeled carry-on size check. It looks optional, friendly even. But the moment you place your bag inside, you've volunteered for enforcement. If it doesn't slide in perfectly, the decision is final. What many travelers don't realize is that gate agents are under pressure to reduce cabin congestion. Every oversized bag slows boarding. Every delay costs the airline money. That's why enforcement suddenly feels strict, and why fees appear so fast. In some cases, agents are rewarded for compliance metrics. Not because they want to punish you, but because the system measures performance by how efficiently problems are removed from the boarding line. There's another quiet system at work too. Automated programs now predict missed connections and late arrivals. If you're flagged as unlikely to make it, your seat can be reassigned before your name is called. That's why one passenger arrives at the gate to find their boarding pass invalid, while another, who asked for assistance earlier, boards calmly with priority. The difference isn't luck. It's timing, awareness, and knowing which questions to ask. Picture two passengers walking toward the same gate. The first one measured their bag at home. They practice short, clean answers. When asked a question, they respond calmly and stop talking. Their bag slides through. Their boarding pass scans green. No drama. The second passenger isn't careless, just unaware. Their suitcase is barely wider than the limit. They decide to check it in the metal frame, just to be safe. It doesn't fit. The fee appears. Stress spikes. Boarding continues without them. Now the consequences compound. They miss the overhead space. Their seat assignment changes. A tight connection becomes impossible. Suddenly, they're negotiating rebooking instead of sitting on the plane. For families, this creates tension. For older travelers, it creates panic. For frequent flyers, it destroys trust. What makes it worse is the confusion. Most passengers leave thinking they made a mistake, when in reality, they walked into a system designed to reward preparation and penalize hesitation. At modern airports, ignorance isn't neutral, it's expensive. The good news is this: you don't need special status, insider connections, or luck to avoid these traps. You need preparation and the confidence to ask the right questions. Start with the basics. Measure your carry-on at home, including wheels and handles. Use a small luggage scale. $10 can save you $100 at the gate. If your bag is borderline, don't test it publicly. Once you place it in the frame, the system locks in the outcome. Prepare your answers too. 2 or 3 short responses are enough. Where are you going? How long will you stay? Keep it clean. Stop talking once the question is answered. For older travelers, this matters even more. Airports quietly offer assistance that isn't advertised. Asking, "Do you have support for senior passengers?" can mean early boarding, an electric cart, or extra time without pressure. Looking ahead, enforcement will only become more automated. Machines don't negotiate. Screens don't feel sympathy. The passengers who move smoothly through airports in the future won't be the strongest or the youngest. They'll be the most prepared. Airports aren't out to get you, but they are designed to test you. The difference between paying extra and passing through quietly isn't luck. It's awareness. When you understand how the system works, you stop being a target and start moving ahead of the rules. If this helped you, share it with someone who always gets stopped at the gate. Leave a comment with your experience, and subscribe to Quiet Travel Rules, because the next rule they change probably won't be announced either.